It was a warm, cloudless morning when Chelsea MacDonald, 25 years old and carrying the weight of a difficult year on her shoulders, stepped into the courthouse. Her posture was straight, her expression calm, yet a storm of frustration swirled quietly behind her eyes. She wasn't here to attack a stranger. She wasn't even here for revenge. She was here because sometimes the deepest wounds are made by the people closest to you, and sometimes the only way to heal is to demand fairness. Chelsea clasped her folder a little tighter as she waited for the case to be called. Inside it were statements, receipts, screenshots, pieces of evidence she never imagined she would need against her own sister. Her younger sister, Jordan MacDonald, only 22, sat a few seats away in the waiting area. Jordan kept her arms crossed, avoiding eye contact, tapping her heel nervously on the tiled floor. The two had once been inseparable. Late-night conversations, shared secrets, borrowing clothes, celebrating birthdays. But life had a strange way of bruising even the strongest bonds. And today, those bruises were on full display. It was a warm, cloudless morning when Chelsea MacDonald, 25 years old and carrying the weight of a difficult year on her shoulders, stepped into the courthouse. Her posture was straight, her expression calm, yet a storm of frustration swirled quietly behind her eyes. She wasn't here to attack a stranger. She wasn't even here for revenge. She was here because sometimes the deepest wounds are made by the people closest to you, and sometimes the only way to heal is to demand fairness. Chelsea clasped her folder a little tighter as she waited for the case to be called. Inside it were statements, receipts, screenshots, pieces of evidence she never imagined she would need against her own sister. Her younger sister, Jordan MacDonald, only 22, sat a few seats away in the waiting area. Jordan kept her arms crossed, avoiding eye contact, tapping her heel nervously on the tiled floor. The two had once been inseparable. Late-night conversations, shared secrets, borrowing clothes, celebrating birthdays. But life had a strange way of bruising even the strongest bonds. And today, those bruises were on full display. When the bailiff called their names, the sisters stepped forward. The room felt heavy, as if all the tension in their hearts had been compressed into the air around them. At the center of it all sat Judge Judy, sharp-eyed and unshaken as always, ready to slice through excuses with the precision of a surgeon. The judge glanced at the file, then at the two sisters. "Ms. MacDonald," she began, looking toward Chelsea. "It is your claim that your sister owes you money she charged on a credit card you allowed her to use. She promised she'd pay it back once she got a job. And she now has a job, but she hasn't paid a penny. Correct?" "Yes, Your Honor," Chelsea answered, her voice steady. Jordan lifted her chin. "I don't owe her." Judge Judy raised a hand sharply. "Not yet. Don't jump ahead. I'll get to you. Use your listening ears." The courtroom fell silent. Chelsea explained that she had been working full-time for Citibank until she was laid off. She didn't complain, didn't dramatize, just stated the facts. After her job ended in June of 2016, she enrolled back in school and picked up a part-time job with a cleaning company to stay afloat. Judge Judy listened closely. "And who do you live with?" she asked. "Myself," Chelsea replied. The judge nodded approvingly. Independent, responsible, trying her best in difficult times. Then she turned to Jordan. "Jordan, under pressure. How do you support yourself?" the judge asked. Jordan shifted uncomfortably. "I work for TriHealth, part-time, registering patients in the ER." "How many hours?" "About 25 per week." "And where do you live?" "With my mom." Judge Judy leaned back, her expression tightening. "So the 22-year-old and the 25-year-old are both working part-time, while mom, at 54, is working full-time to support the household." She paused. "Sounds like the direction of the country." The courtroom chuckled softly, but the humor faded when the judge pulled up a page from the file. "Let's talk about this DUI," she said. Jordan swallowed. "It happened on February 21st, the day before my birthday." "So your sister gave you her credit card to help pay legal fees?" "Yes." "And when she handed you that credit card, did she tell you it had a zero balance?" Jordan hesitated. "That's what she said." Judge Judy raised an eyebrow. "And you took the card?" "Yep," Jordan said. "I sure did." "And you believed her?" "I did." The judge leaned forward. "If someone is giving you a gift, what difference does it make whether the card has a zero balance or $10,000 already on it? Why would that be relevant unless the expectation was that you would repay whatever you charged?" Jordan exhaled. "As my sister, I assumed I could trust her." The judge stared for a moment, sharp, focused. "She assumed she could trust you, too." Laughter rippled again through the courtroom. But the message was serious. Money wasn't the real enemy here. The real enemy was broken trust, blurred promises, and the silent expectations families carry without ever saying out loud. Chelsea didn't want to sue her sister. She didn't want this cold distance. All she wanted was fairness. The repayment Jordan promised when she needed help the most. Jordan, on the other hand, believed the card was a gift, something given out of love, no strings attached. Maybe she convinced herself of that because the truth was harder to face. She couldn't afford to pay it back, and she didn't want to disappoint the sister who'd always protected her. But Judge Judy wasn't here for emotional cushioning. She was here for clarity. As the story unfolded, paperwork revealed exactly how much Jordan charged. Thousands of dollars in legal fees, fines, and additional purchases that had nothing to do with the DUI. Chelsea's statements showed every swipe, every transaction, every date and time. Jordan's face tightened as she scanned the pages. Judge Judy broke it down plainly. "You took your sister's credit card when you were in trouble. You used it for legal fees. You promised to pay her back when you got a job. You now have a job, and you haven't paid her a single cent. That sounds like a debt to me." Jordan tried one last time. "But she said no such thing," the judge snapped. "You don't get to rewrite agreements because reality became inconvenient." Jordan fell silent. Behind her calm exterior, Chelsea felt a mixture of relief and sadness. Relief that the truth was finally being recognized. Sadness that things had come to this. Standing in a courtroom, defending herself against someone she once shared a bedroom and childhood memories with, Jordan felt cornered not just by the judge but by her own decisions. She had made mistakes, but the guilt of letting her sister down weighed even heavier than the financial debt. Even their mother, who wasn't in the courtroom, hovered invisibly in the background of their minds. How would she feel when she heard the outcome? After reviewing all evidence, the judge delivered her verdict in the same uncompromising tone she was famous for. "Judgment for the plaintiff. Jordan will repay the full amount charged to the credit card." The gavel struck. As the sisters walked out of the courtroom, they didn't speak. Not because they hated each other, but because neither of them knew how to begin healing the wounds that had been exposed so publicly. Chelsea looked forward, determined, hopeful that someday they would rebuild trust. Jordan looked down, realizing that love comes with responsibility, and that promises, especially to family, should never be taken lightly. And somewhere between pain and resolution, the lesson lingered. Family can lift you up, but it can also teach you the hardest truths. And sometimes, doing the right thing is the first step toward forgiveness. The courthouse doors swung open, releasing Chelsea and Jordan into the crisp afternoon air. The sky was bright, yet both women felt as though they were walking beneath a storm of emotions. The verdict had been clear, final, unavoidable. But the story between the sisters was anything but over. They walked in the same direction, yet worlds apart. Chelsea's footsteps were steady, but inside her heart was trembling. Winning in court did not feel like victory. It felt like confirming a truth she never wanted to face, that her little sister had taken advantage of her kindness. Behind her, Jordan followed slowly, every step heavier than the last. The judge's words rang in her ears. "You don't get to rewrite agreements because reality became inconvenient." Jordan wasn't angry at the judge. She wasn't even angry at Chelsea. She was angry at herself. As Chelsea reached her car, she paused. A single memory flashed in her mind. Two little girls sitting on a bunk bed, sharing popcorn, making a promise. No matter what, we'll always have each other. That promise felt distant now, buried under legal fees, DUIs, unpaid debts, and silence. Jordan remembered the same moment. She stopped walking, staring at the pavement. How had things spiraled this far? How had she let pride bury the sisterhood they once guarded so fiercely? Just when Jordan thought her sister would drive away without a word, Chelsea turned around. Her voice was soft but clear. "Jordan, it didn't have to go this way." Jordan looked up, her eyes shining with guilt. "I know," she whispered, "but I didn't know how to fix it." Chelsea took a deep breath. "You could have talked to me. I would have helped you. I always helped you." "That's the problem," Jordan said, her voice cracking. "I always expected you to, even when I knew I shouldn't." The wind blew softly as they faced each other for the first time since the trial began. Jordan continued, "I was scared. After the DUI, after the court fees, after everything, I felt like such a disappointment. I thought if I told you I couldn't pay you back yet, you'd think less of me." Chelsea shook her head. "That's not how family works. I don't need you to be perfect. I need you to be honest." Jordan lowered her gaze.
I'm sorry, Chelsea.
"Not just for the money, for breaking your trust." Silence settled between them again, but this time, it wasn't hostile. It was healing. Chelsea wanted to forgive her. She loved her sister deeply, but trust was like glass. Once cracked, it never looked the same. Still, she also knew this moment mattered. "Jordan," she said, "I didn't sue you to punish you. I sued you because you stopped listening. You stopped trying. You made promises you didn't keep." Jordan nodded slowly. "And I deserved the judgment." For the first time that day, Chelsea's expression softened. "You're going to pay the debt. That's fair. But after that, we start over." Jordan's breath hitched. "Start over?" "If you want to," Chelsea said gently. "Because I miss my sister. Not the excuses. Not the lies. You." Jordan blinked fast, tears spilling despite her attempt to hide them. "I want that too. More than anything." Without thinking, Chelsea stepped forward, and Jordan leaned into her. The hug was brief, awkward at first, then real, raw with emotion, filled with apology and acceptance. Chelsea pulled back and said, "From now on, no secrets, no assumptions. If you're struggling, tell me. If you need help, ask. And if I say no, respect it." Jordan nodded hard. "I will. I promise. And you have to take yourself seriously," Chelsea continued. "No more DUIs. No more running away from problems." Jordan sighed, ashamed. "I've already enrolled in mandatory counseling, and I'm taking extra shifts at TriHealth.